Hey, 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 it's Dr. Day jumping on here to bring you another word. Let me tell you what happened. I've been sitting up under this computer since 10 o'clock this morning. I started taking a class last night and it was about 10:45 and I was just exhausted. I said, okay, I'm gonna finish it today. But I forgot about it. I had to take another class this morning. So when I finished that other class, I went back on to the class that um, just got off the line a little while ago and still haven't finished it. And because it's like 5 modules, and then they have a quiz after the module. And so I had got to the end and all that, and it was saying conclusion of the course, and I was like, yay, yay, I'm finished. And then I looked up there, and it says when you hit next, it says that the final exam, and I'm like, oh my goodness, a final exam, and talking about was like 40 questions. And at that time, the phone rung, and I said, oh, good, I need to get off of here. So this is gonna I take this call. I didn't know who it was because my phone was down on the stand here. So when I looked, it was a friend of mine. I've been knowing her for years, and bless her heart, I love her dearly. But she can just take me into a realm, and she can take me to a place. I'm just sorry. But I did not want to answer the phone. But I said, okay, I know her situation, and she's, by herself, and she don't have family here, and all that stuff. So I said, well, I'll answer. Maybe she got some good news. Sometimes you can't always think that people have bad news. And so I answered the phone, and I was like, hello, and whoa, whoa. And I said, okay, here we go. So I let her finish walling out and crying. I'm like, girl, what's wrong with you? Girl, well, I don't even remember what she said the dude's name was. He broke up with me. And she went on and on and on. And we have had this conversation, I don't know how many times. I don't usually hear from her when things are going good and she's in relationships and all that. But just as soon as the relationship dissolved, she calls me and she want me to pray for her. And I'm like, girl, I am not praying for you about no man. Now, y'all see that halo? It ain't always been up there. So sometimes when people like pull me into, I know you shouldn't allow people to do it, but sometimes people could just take you there, even though you don't want to go. Sometimes people will take you there. And I'm like, girl, I do not want to hear this drama. I said, first of all, we have had this conversation on numerous occasions. You are the common denominator. It has nothing to do with that guy. You're the one who keeps doing the same thing over and over. And Proverbs 26:11 says, and this might sound vulgar, as a dog eats its own vomit, so fools recycle silliness. And as I was thinking, I did Google about how in ancient days did, because Jesus always told parables, and then there were analogies in the story that in the Bible that help you can relate to now time. And it was saying back there in ancient days that dogs were not pets like we have them pets today. They were usually roaming and scavenging in the area, and they get food out the trash and all that. And so when they eat the food out the trash because they have nothing else for substance or nothing more to eat, they regurgitate what they have, and then when they roam around and can't find no more in the trash, then they eat the vomit that they regurgitated out. And that's what her situation is. I'm just going to say it point blank period, like Tony Gasson said. She keeps regurgitating these men, and then she keeps recycling herself in situations where now she's sad and she depressed, she can't eat, she can't think. And I'm like, girl, you don't need no man, or you should not allow no man to have that much control over you. A mere mortal human being should not have that much control over you. That is not what you was put on this earth for. I said, what you do all the time is you get in relationships, and all the relationships that you get in are the same common denominator men, and you're the same common denominator of yourself that put yourself to meet these same common denominator men. The same men who, like Tony Gaston says, and I'm giving his props. It's not my saying, and his saying, in essence of you have all these grown men that's little boys. So if they haven't learned to grow up, if they haven't learned or been taught to be a man, they continue to do the same cycle too. And they are the common denominator in their situation. So think about it. When he leaves her, he's going to jump into another relationship. He's going to do the same thing to the other person, and then he's gonna leave that relationship and he's gonna do the same thing. So he's also in his common denomination state too. He just jumped from relationship to relationship to relationship, never finding nothing. And like I told her, I said, girl, you have to learn to heal. What you do, you know how runners run and they what you call the people that jump the hurdles. Okay, this is what she do. She jumps the hurdle, but when they jump, they usually touch the ground and then they jump up. No, I told baby, you never touch the ground. You jump that hurdle, then you jump in another hurdle, and the next thing you know, you find yourself down the same rabbit hole that the last 6 months we were talking about, and you were talking about a totally different person. So you never healed from that last relationship. I told her you should never give any man, woman, or anybody uh, your mind, your emotions, or your spirit, or nothing. Everything that pertains to your will and emotions and your spirit should be given to Jesus Christ. He's the only one that can give you the satisfaction. He's the only one that can heal you. He's the only one that can give you what you're looking for. See, two flawed people in flawed relationships is always going to amount to disaster, because you have two people who don't have no center being, no epicenter, which should be Jesus Christ. That's the wholeness, and that's what hold and sustain them. But when you have two more mere mortal people who's out there in the world doing everything from you can imagine, and Jesus is not in the center of it, it will dissolve. It is doomed for disaster. So I said to her, girl, what you keep doing is you acting like a fool. And what is a fool? Is a person that rejects wisdom and counsel, and continues to be down, continues to go down destructive behavior. I told her, you nothing but a fool. I'm sorry. I love you dearly. But at this stage in my life, like I have more years behind me than I have in front of me. I can be your sister, in Christ. I can minister to you and I can talk to you. But I'm not going to be the mother to smother you and to take you up in my arms and rock you like a baby and tell you it's going to be all right. No, it's not going to be all right, sister girl. First of all, you keep going around this cycle. You go around these valleys when everything is going good. You up on the mountain and you all high, and everything looking good and everything smelling like a bed of roses. And as soon as something happens, you down in the valley and you looking up and you want everybody else. You gonna call people to get what the old folks said. Can you lift up a prayer for me? No, I'm not lifting up no prayer to you when you in foolishness and then you in sin. And the thing that irritates me about her is I've led her to Christ, and she's not ready like most people. They're not ready to give up the world. The world is so entertaining. The world has so much. People think that when you follow the Lord, that it's all boring and there's no excitement and you got to be strict and it got to be, it's got to be rigid. No, following Jesus Christ is not strict and it's not religious, but it's just common sense to follow his commands and his precepts. Okay? He gives you a choice and he gives you a free will. He is not going to push no more on you. The word is there. If you pick up the Bible and read it, you'll know what the word said. Then you won't find yourself being, as Proverbs 26 said, fools who recycle silliness. Just think about this. When you in school and you in the first grade, there are lessons that you have to learn in the first grade, and the lessons that you learn in first grade will help you for the second grade. But if you don't learn the lessons in the first grade, you're not going to be promoted to the second grade. And back then in my time, they was called being held back or left back or whatever. I don't know what it's called today. But that's the same thing when you being having destructive, foolish patterns. You don't learn from one lesson to the other. And especially when if you look at the same men that you're pulling into your space, all of them have the same characteristics. And I was telling her, now that I think about it, the last person that you was in, the person that you in now, they kind of look familiar. So what did you do? You honed in and you drew another familiar spirit to you. Not only just the spirit, but the natural, the physical look was the same as the other person. So you're doing all these spirits in you, and you're jumping from relationship to relationship, and you allowing all these spirits to enter into you, because she cannot tell me that she is not in fornication. Okay, she cannot tell me. She might could try to tell me and think that I'm got Fubu the clown written over my forehead, and I don't know that she's dipping and dabbing. Because if that person that you dipping and dabbing with, if they're not following in Jesus Christ and not living as a godly man, they ain't gonna be standing right. They ain't got time for nobody who's trying to follow Jesus and live holy and righteous. Men out there trying to sow their wild oats, like some women out there sow their wild oats. And so I said to her, girl, again, once again, we had this conversation. You're the common denominator. Stop going through all this, what you're going through. It's unnecessary. She's not as old as I am, but she's a couple of months younger than me. But you've been, as long as I've been knowing you, yes, I know you had trauma growing up, but don't always use that as an excuse. You got to want to do better. You got to want to get out of that trauma. If you need to go to therapy, go to therapy. If you can heal your trauma by yourself and you talking to the Lord, go to therapists. That's what he put people there. Christian therapists. Don't get no therapist that's in the world, because they ain't gonna lead you spiritually. But go into therapists. Get some healing. You need some inner healing. Calling Dr. Day. I can't heal you. I'm not Jesus. I'm not the one. I can just give you some advice and say this is what you need to do. But whether you do it, that's up to you. But evidently, you're not doing it, because we're back in the same conversation that we had a couple of months ago. Another example, somebody that's a fool. If you know you gaining weight and you got inflammation of the body and everything that you eat, fast food tears your stomach up, why do you stay in Popeyes? Why do you stay in Bojangles, McDonald's, and all that? Why do you do it? You're the common denominator that's making yourself sick. Why do you do it? Because you're familiar with that. You don't know that there's things that's healthy. You don't want to do the healthy thing because you say eating healthy it doesn't taste good. Like if I eat the potato chips and the ice cream and the candy and the cookies and all that, that doesn't satisfy my taste buds. That's the same thing what you doing dipping out in the world. You don't want to go to Jesus. You don't want to follow his precepts and his commands and his precepts, because it doesn't satisfy that sexual craving that you have. So I was like, girl, and I keep repeating it, you're the common denominator. Stop it. Stop it. God has so much, has so much for you. Those people that you finding yourself dipping and dabbing with, they don't mean you no good. And then you praying for, how you want somebody to pray for you for a husband. God not gonna give you no husband, and you all out there in fornication and doing all kind of crazy stuff. You either make a choice, you make a stand. You either gonna stand for Jesus, or you gonna stand for the world. And I told her, right now, you standing for the world, and you want to call me and cry and make me say, give you a prayer, or say a prayer for you. I'm not saying no prayer for you. No, no, y'all see that halo on the top of my head? It ain't always been there. I can cut you and then I can love you up, but I got to tell you the truth. This point in my life, God is using me more than I have ever allowed him to use me, because I had been running and running and running for years, because I was like her. I was looking for someone else to validate me. I was looking for someone else to make me feel good. But then this last relationship that I was in 3 years ago, it was a result of 30 something years of my life in this relationship, and I still end up with nothing. That I had to take a Selah moment. I had to sit back and realize that I was the common denominator. I was letting this individual come in my life, go out my life, come in my life, and go out my life. And until I was like, no, I deserve better. I was created for better. So the lessons that I learned, I want to share with my sisters, my younger ladies, and even some of the older ladies that's the same age for me. I'm over 70. Okay. I don't know everything, but I can share. I can imagine that there's some ladies my age that you've raised your kids, you got grandkids, you're lonely. Yeah, I feel all that, but I'm not going to allow myself to get in another relationship unless I know that it came straight from God. I'm not going to allow myself to be the common denominator again, to fall for something that sounds sweet. And just because I need someone to hold me, or I just need someone to tell me I'm the sweetest thing besides apple pie. No, I'm not doing that no more. And that's what I told her. I said, every time a man tell you something, men tell you what they know you want to hear. They size you up. And most times they really don't size you up. The majority of the time you telling and you talking so much, and you telling them your business. And so they sit there and you be thinking that, oh, he learned me. He learned my ways. No, he ain't learned your ways. He learned what you told him. And then he uses that against you. So stop being the common denominator. Stop always allowing your life to be just right there in your immediate surroundings. Take yourself out of your surroundings. Go and do something different. I have a bookshelf on the wall that's in front of me, and it's from one end to the other of books. Read. I love books, because I can, I can get lost in books. If you've never been to Hawaii and you're reading a book about Hawaii, you can just imagine yourself that you're on the beach and you're listening to the oceans, and then you read it and you dream about it and it get in you, and then the reality, you learn and you want to do something different. And the reality of you going to Hawaii, next thing you know, you on an airplane going to Hawaii. Don't worry about the finances, all that'll come, but just take your imagination. Like, I listened to Tony Gaston, and bless his heart, he's so right on it. The 3 B's: your brain, your brand, and your body. What are you doing? You gaining all this weight, you eating Popeyes and McDonald's, you going to the gym. My car is down right now, but I was going to, I used to go Planet Fitness every day. Well, since I can't get over there, because where I live at, there's no transportation, no public transportation, so you have to have a car. So I have 13 steps from the top of my house to the upstairs, from my office to upstairs. So I walk up and down those steps. I get on the YouTube and I get the African lady that's doing the dance and stuff. And so I'm moving around. I know at my age that I have to move around. I have to be more mobile and agile. You can't just sit in front of the TV and watch Netflix and Tubi and think that, life is going to change for you. I have a cousin. A good example is I live in a certain area, and my cousin live in another county, which is maybe 15 minutes. I'm using that example, but he's not. I'm just saying for an example. I live here in this county, and he lived in another county 15 minutes. He don't even come visit us in this county. He's been in that county. He's the same age as I am. He has never went out of that county, and this is a true story, but he lives someplace else. But he has never ventured no place. That's all he know is his surrounding area from the time he was a little boy until he's 71 like I am. He has not been no place. I'm talking about maybe 20 miles of radius difference from where he lived, because the common denominator is him. He just think that that's all he see and that's all he know. Do you know that God has the vastness and the creator of everything? He created this world. We have all these continents. We have these places that you say you dream of or you see on TV. You can visit them. You can do that. But if you're the common denominator and think that you just got to sit in your locality and worry about a man who means you no good, who ain't trying to go no place, who ain't trying to do nothing with his life. And so you sit there and you comfortable with that until he get tired of you. And it's like merry-go-round. He go around the merry-go bush, 1 week he with you and 1 week he over here. And both of y'all bickering and fighting over somebody, that, oh, come on. So I was, I was so upset. This time I got upset with her because we've been through this conversation before. And I said, girl, I don't want to hear nothing else about this man. This is what I'm telling you right now. You are the common denominator. Stop allowing yourself to be at a standstill. Stop allowing and limiting yourself. God has so much out there for you. And time is winding, the clock is ticking. You're getting older. You have more days behind you than you have in front of you, girl. And you need to live this life instead of worrying about some man. Because when you stand before the Father, he ain't going to stand there with you. Now, he might be in the same line with you, headed for where. But if you don't get yourself together, girl, you ain't gonna be in this line over here headed to heaven. You gonna be over there with him, and he gonna be in the line, and he gonna pretend like he don't even know you because he don't use and abuse you so much. And all the people that he was in this little carousel with, that he used and abused, they gonna be over there with him. We don't have time, girl. I told her, I said, girl, you don't have time for that. I told her I've been in the book of Revelation. I told her, girl, you need to get in the book of Revelation and read Revelation. We're seeing everything being fulfilled. I was just really upset. I had to come on here and tell somebody, stop being the common denominator in your life. Do something different. Go someplace different. Eat something different. Meet different people. The world is full of people. You don't have to be around the same people, even the same church folks, okay? There's different people in your church. When you stay around the same people in your church, that means you all in a little clique. You don't know nobody else in there. You might know them in passing, but you haven't learned to find out who they are. Maybe that person that you pass every Sunday and every Wednesday might have the piece to the puzzle that you're missing. But because you're the common denominator and you stay stuck in your little rut and you stay stuck in your mind and I don't need to know nobody else, you'll never learn what somebody has for you or never learn nothing outside of what you know. So stop being a fool. That's all I came on here to say. Stop being a fool. Stop being the common denominator. That's what I had to tell my friend tonight. And she probably got a little upset. And she knows that usually when she calling and I get rammed up and riled up over something, that if I think it's a lesson, I'm going to get on here and tell somebody else. You're the common denominator. If you keep finding the same men, you keep getting rejected, you still keep getting hurt, you still keep getting all the things that in this relationship that you thought, oh, this was the one, God sent the one. No, God is not going to put nobody in your life that's going to cause havoc and destruction and distraction. He is not going to do that. And usually we see the red flags, but we don't want to see them. We want to believe, oh, this is the one. And then you find out and you find yourself just like my friend down in that rabbit hole, looking up again, waiting for the next person to reach down in that hole and pull her up and tell her the same sweet nothings. And then she'll be calling me next week talking about she found someone. I said, girl, get it together. You can't be flip flapping and you can't keep straddling the fence. You either gonna be for God or you not gonna be for God. And as long as you keep not being for God, you're gonna keep having these issues that's going on in your life. So stop being the common denominator in your life. That's what I told her. And that's what I'm telling someone right now. You are the common denominator. Think about it. Think about it. You gained the weight. What's the common denominator? You were in a relationship last week. What's the common denominator? The person is gone. Your finances is all jacked up. What's the common denominator? What you spending your money on? What are you doing? Think about it. You are the common denominator. And the only one that can change it is you. And you have to be the one to make that determination. God is not going to put nothing on you. He's a gentleman. He's going to sit there and he's going to wait till you figure it out. And it's going to be just like I said, trying to pass from one grade to the other. You're not going to get promoted in that grade until you learn a lesson from the last one. So stop being that dog that vomits over and regurgitates and then do it over and over and over. What did I say? That is a fool. And what is a fool? A person who reject wisdom and good counsel and instead continue to go and do and be in destructive behavior. So on that note, hit the like button, hit the like button, bring you some more messages and subscribe. And I'll keep bringing, a word of God. The algorithm will not pick up nothing unless you like this. So I'll keep bringing the lessons, and if the algorithm pick up, so it be. But I just came on here to bring you a word and to tell someone, to give them something to think about. What's going on in your life? You are the common denominator. So on that note, Dr. Day says, see ya.